Well, it's day 2 of the advent calendar for PiHut Let It Glow. Let's find out what we've got. Hi and welcome to another episode. What we've got is the PiHut Advent Calendar Let It Glow Day 2. So let's take it out and see what we've got. Little plastic bag. There's stuff inside. Should I really start using one of those blue mat things to help with static electricity? Maybe we'll get through the whole thing, because what I want to see is, can you do it without all of that? Because not everyone's got one of those. Anyway, what we've got is a white thing. Dun, dun, dun. Come on, come on. Some wires and a resistor of what value, I don't know off the top of my head. Can you believe I did GCSE electronics so many years ago, and before the exams I actually learned the whole little griddy thing so I could figure out what every resistor value was. It helped. I could sort of cheat on the exam because I wasn't cheating, it was all in my head, but it also meant that I didn't have to figure out by calculations what a resistor value was. I knew it because it was in the photo. Anyway, right, we've got some parts. Let's skip across and go to the website and see what it actually all is. So we've got Thonny already installed because I'm assuming we need that. I think it's going to be true for every day of it now. Day 2, Let It Glow, make your advent calendar. Yesterday we got comfortable with Pico and learnt about its different features. Yep, we did. Box contents. Number 2, it's one 15mm diffused blocky LED. Oh, so that's what that is. Fine. And we have a resistor, no value given. A little bit of education would have been nice to know what a resistor was. And a male-to-male jumper wires. Yep. That's what they are. Yep. One seems to be got markings on it and the other one not. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Today's activities. We're going to be learning how to construct a simple circuit and coding our blocky LED to light up, flash, and more. Oh, sounds interesting. Blah 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 about MicroPython, and talk about last year's and everything like that. We can skip that because we haven't done last year's yet. Alright, LED stands for light emitting diode, if you didn't happen to know. A diode. The LED polarity. Basically that's to do with, is it a positive or minus, and it's the positive is the anode and the negative is the cathode, and it's pointing out in a little diagram there that the bit where there's a bit of writing, the pin closest to that, or the leg closest to that, is the positive side of the anode. Okay. As I said yesterday, you sit and read this properly when you're doing it. I'm just going through a bit quickly because I know a little bit about electronics, very very little, and I used to know more, but then I've forgotten it over the years, and then quite frankly through being lazy I've never actually been able to relearn everything maybe of what I should do. Something about the GPIOs of our wonderful little board here, the Pico H. The GPIO pin number which we use in our code are the green, or start with GP, and if the colors aren't helpful to you, so yeah, if you're colorblind, the little map that they're calling it here, basically if it says GP, that's the ones that we can actually control from programming the Pico. And then there's you can download the whole PDF thing to do it properly. Construct the circuit, make sure that the Pico is disconnected from your USB cable. Okay, ta-da, it's disconnected. It says so in the code now, it's lost the connection. Because you never know, you might cheat and do this all in one go. You might have left it doing so. Right, breadboards, we need one of the breadboards. Talks about the lines on them, the horizontal lines, and it's actually 3.3 volts for the red lines, and we want them a certain way round. And from yesterday it was that way round, wasn't it, with the positive going across the top, AB down the right hand side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way that way up to pin 30 you can do. Right, so we go down for the circuit. So we want our little LED thing again, and if you remember correctly from the writing, there is a bit of writing on the side. Mine, is it too bright in here? I can't really see. There you go, there's a bit of writing on that side. So that leg at the top there is the positive one, and we want to put that in there on the right hand side at level C. Press it in. That's it. So the writing should be on the edge here, and that's in. Try to get it somewhat squared up, it doesn't have to be too perfect. So yeah, so it goes to the left. Right, so as I say, the writing on that side. We need our resistor. Resistors don't really matter which way round you put them in, it just matters on where you put them. So we need them in. Oh wait, how's this working? It says to put it. I don't know what they're doing here. Oh, this is annoying from the get-go. It says to put it in. Oh, maybe no. That's for the circuit board. That's for that bit. Yeah, it tells you to put it in the board. It's pointing at doing it at C 30. Definitely showing of doing that. But it's wanting you to get a resistor in. So I'll zoom in a moment, but what annoyingly is that they're doing it as like, oh, it just fits like that. It doesn't. You can't get to row D, and row E you can only just about get to if you push it in a bit. So I'll zoom in on this bit, going across to G with the resistor. Yeah, this is, again, someone's done it on paper and not actually bothered to see if it actually works. It annoys me when that happens. I'm not trying to ruin Christmas, but don't say it just fits dead easy when it doesn't. And showing diagrams as if it easily fits is basically the same as showing. Right, so what I will do now is zoom in. Zoom, 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 zoom. Right, so let's bring up, well, you can see the diagram on the left hand side there. And basically you're left with this. So as I see, you can't get access to row D. That bottom row above this little dent in this little valley down here is row E, then row D, and it shows there it'd be easy to get to row D. There's no clean way of doing it. Just isn't, so be careful doing it. But you can see I've got the resistor in at E30, and the pins or the legs from the LED are actually on C30 for the positive and C28 for the negative. So just make sure you've got that way around. I'll double check myself. See, like the legs are bent at a funny angle to make sure that I've got room to be able to get the resistor in. So try to make sure it's in like that. Or maybe they should tell you to put the resistor in first and then squash the leg down while you put the thing over the top. But poor design, in the manual of doing it. So let's see how far we get now. What is it that we need to do? Oh, wrong way. Now grab the two jumper wires. You need to wire one connecting to the right leg to the ground pin, sometimes known as GND at the Pico, and they reckon pin 18 on here, which is the third one on the left hand side if we've got the USB on this side. Now making sure it's still not plugged in. I recommend taking it in and out of your computer all the time rather than doing this, because micro USB isn't a particularly strong socket. It seems quite stiff, the cable on it. Anyway, the point is we need to do pin 18, so it's showing us. I do it like this. There is markings on here of the wire. So yeah, as I say, we've got the wire. It tends to be, at least if I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments and let me know that I'm wrong if I am wrong. But from what I understand is that the markings on a wires, when you've got two wires like these, I don't know if I hold this up, you should be able to see. It focuses, see there's markings down one of the wires. The markings portray that that's the negative wire. So on the negative, that again, if I'm wrong, tell me, goes to the ground. So on here we actually want this way around. On here, little breadboards are sort of not clipped together, but you know, I should. How do they clip together? Oh, they do clip together. There we go. Alright, so we clip them together like that. As I said, I haven't used I have used breadboards a long time, but always sort of depends on the quality of the breadboard if it actually works. Right, anyway, negative. So we've got the wire with the markings all the way down, so that's this one. We want that to be pin 18, so that should be on row A, pin 18, which is where it gets, which is fine because obviously there's writing down the sides of the breadboard of what it is, and we happen to know we put pin 1 over there, so that's why it's all the way over there. Pin 18 in A. I don't exactly like, they slot in more than like connect, you know what I mean when I say that. Right, let's make sure we haven't twisted the wires, which I have, but don't twist the wires. So the negative of this one goes on E. So again, we're supposed to get that. So we end up squashing it in there. Third pin, so make sure you get it correct. And then J of J and row 30. So that should be our circuit. Just double check everything's right and squashed down and connected. Then what does it say to do? Let's get the mouse pointer. Okay, it says a few pointers. It says it doesn't really matter about the wires as long as the ends are correct. And it does say the fact that you only have a black and a red wire. But yeah, you should do it to a standard. And you can always look on the internet to make sure that you're getting the standard correct. It also says make sure everything's wired up properly before you turn it on. So let's have a look at the diagram again just to make sure. Right, so we've got our top board and bottom board. On the top board we need the LED to be plugged in to positive of it onto C30, the negative on it on C28. We need the resistor on E30 going down to G30, And then the wires we need from the top board, we need E28 going down to A18 on the bottom board, and J30 of the top board going down to A19 of the bottom board. Okay, so we have got it wired up properly, because it does warn us that you don't want to be plugged in if you're getting it wrong. Right. Alright, we're going to repeat the code we ran on the Picos and turn all LED yesterday. It works the same way, setting the pin high on and change the GPIO number to the one that works. Okay. Assuming you've turned off your computer after yesterday box, you may need to jump back into Thonny and select Run Configure Interpreter again to take the Pico. You might have to, but you never know. Sometimes just hitting the red stop button can help too. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I keep wanting to highlight. I just copy the code, stick the code in, paste. Right. So the one step they haven't told you is to plug it back into your computer. So I'll tell you to do that. Right, plug it in when you're 100% sure everything is set up properly. There we go, press stop, it's found the board. Soft reboot, and then we press play. It's on, and we've got a red LED, which you can't see because it's too bright in here. One moment while I turn the lights off. Let's fade the light down. There you can see a red glow now, can't you? Alright, so we'll run it in. Basically, I've just turned off the fancy light that I have to control this. Right, so it's red. That's it. And it comes back with block LED on, which it is on the screen. We can see that that's worked. Activity number 2. What we've got here. We know how to light each LED by changing the pin number. That's easy, but what if you want the light to be both LEDs? This is easy. Add into your code to just to duplicate some lines and change the pin being referenced. You can do that kind of thing a lot when you want to make advanced projects with multiple components for your code to talk to. Fair enough. Right, so take a look at the example below. We've used the name green for the onboard LED, setting up the GPIO 25, and then we've used the additional lines so that we can get the blocky one to do the red one. Fine, so what we want to do now is light up the green light that's on the Pico, and we want the one on the fancy new red one that we've got. We want that working. So I'm just going to copy the text, and I'm doing it sort of quick and dirty in the realms of doing this. You can make more time, and if anything, I would take the effort to actually type stuff out, not just copy it, because it will give you the muscle memory of typing certain things out. I'm doing this, cut and pasting just to speed up the video. And I'm getting rid of lines I don't really need. Right, so now we should get that the green LED comes on because the red one's already on. So we've run that one. And you can see there's a faint little green glow there now as well. The red one was already on, but that's actually been set to be turned on as well. Just to prove it, I'm going to change these values. I know this is not what it says in the code, but I'm going to change them to 0 again. And I realize it's still going to print out both LEDs are on, because I can't be bothered to change that to off. But the point is, both LEDs are off now. Change that to 1. change that to 1. And now we know for sure that code really does work and turn them both on. So that's what we want. Right. Let's move on to activity 3. I know I did a sort of like an activity 2.5, but there we go. Activity 3 is let's step things up a gear and get the LEDs flashing. Ooh, basics of festive decorations. The time module. The time module allows you to program delays into your code, making it wait for seconds or fractions of seconds before continuing. It's a fundamental module you'll use in most of your projects, as we often need to create delays in our programs. Fair enough. So they're calling it delays. If you've come from some other programming language, you might have called it a pause, or just ever thinking it's where you just go, 1, 2, pause, 4, that sort of thing. And the more pause length you have, the longer the pause will be, or the delay that will be. Right. To make them flash, we're going to turn them on, and basically we're going to have a line called time.sleep1. After turning it on, keeping the LED on for 1 second, and then we're going to turn it off by simply changing the last number to a 0, followed by another time delay, and repeat this pattern a couple of times. Okay, all right. So let's get rid of all this code. Come down here, copy the code, stick it in, press play, paste it, and we're going to run it. So that went off, delay. Okay, what now? Was that it? Let's run that again. So it flashed a couple of times. So that's just the red LED flashing a few times. So now we're going to be using loops. And loops is basically a way of repeating. So you've got your list of things to do. I'm sure you've done this in other things in life, in like looking at building furniture or something like that. It'll tell you to stick a leg on the end of a table, then it'll say repeat this process until all 4 legs are stuck on the bottom. It's that sort of idea. So it's saying about the code, and it said you can add comments into your MicroPython by putting the hash symbol. I realize in America you might call it the pound symbol, as in LBS, not the fancy little squiggle we do for our money here in England. But no, normally it's called the hash symbol because of the hashtag. I'm sure you've picked that up by texting and Twitter and all that fun stuff over the years anyway, but just in case you might not know. Right, so adding commentary to make explaining the code easier, which it does, because you have certain things in and you might know what it's doing, but you go off to a different job after you've done your fantastic programming skills. You go to a different job and your code's left behind, and someone has to pick it up and go, eh? And yes, a really good coder can look at code and figure it out, but when there's thousands upon thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of lines of code, it just makes life far quicker if you just sort of explain on what's happening next. Because people just read it as maybe not fantastic, everyday reading, but it gives them a pointers on what's actually happening. So this is what it's on about here. They're doing it. If anything, at times we're probably overdoing the commentary to make sure that things are very clear to you. This can be seen as bad practice, but we think it's better to make sure things are understood. Exactly, you can sort of overdo it, but as in like this bit here, if it said LED on, wait for half a second, and then you're showing here that LED off, wait for half a second, instead of doing that again and again and again, you could just show that that's LED on and wait half a second, and then the coder should be able to figure it out with logic that 1's on, 0's off. mean, they should know that anyway, but you get the idea anyway. Code indications, blah, blah, blah. Stick it in the code. We want to wait for half a second. And it's done about loops. So this bit here, while true, loop forever. And basically, there's nothing to tell you that it's false. So we'll just loop forever. Be a different line of code to tell you that it was false at some point. So again, we'll get rid of all this in here. We'll copy it, stick it in, and we should be able to just run it now. Only waiting half a second between the flashes. So now we've got a nice little flash going on. It does look far better in person in the strange way that cameras pick up LEDs and stuff, but got a nice little blocky red block of LEDs flashing away there. Let's stop that though, because that's the one way we can stop it. And in the range function, we're adding that now, are we? Okay. The range function is so that we can decide on how many times we want a loop to happen. Loops can be controlled in like different commands to do loops. There's a while loop, there's the for loop. Little things that I know from previous programming experience, but basically, so we'll end up with a little bit of code here, and this is what it's explaining here as well. But for I, so we're having a variable called I in range of 10. So it's saying it's going to run indicator code below 10 times. And then when it's got to the code, it's going to stop. I've not used the Python for a very long time, and by that I mean 20 plus years. So anyway, this is what it's going to be doing. So as I say, let's get rid. Oh no, we've got this. Yeah, we need to get rid of this code now, and then we'll copy this in. And then what that should happen is that it flashes 10 times. Right. Don't be hung up about using an I. You can change it to T or V. It's just a variable. It's a one-letter variable. Easily done. And for now, though, all you need to know is that the number in brackets 10 is how many times our indented code will run. So by indented, they mean that this has been brought in a little bit. So that's how it knows that what this loop is. So the loop starts there and ends. Well, in the realms of the code that's actually being ran is there, but technically the loop ends here because you put a comment in. But I'm not confusing matters. The actual code that the computer runs ends there, and then because it's not indented anymore, and it's done it 10 times, so it goes in a round and round and round and round and round, they'll eventually hit print program finished. So we've got the code in. So while I'm pressing play, you count how many times it flashes red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's printed on the screen over here, program finished. And it's done exactly what we wanted. So it starts from 1 and then goes all the way up to 10, just counting the way that it does. So now you could put in 100 in that range bit, and you could sit there for quite some time counting out to 100. The point is, though, the code works. So hopefully we've learnt some stuff today. So you could, maybe if you wanted, you could stick in, the code for the green. You could stick that in, and so that if you get the code from earlier on, where is it? So you can mix this up a little bit. Pin 25, remember we did it yesterday as well. So if you stuck that line in, green equals 25, in there. In fact, I'm going to do what they've done, but also I'm going to add a little bit on because this should make it a little bit more interesting. We're going to copy this here and stick that in. I'm not going to bother with comments because I don't want to slow this down too much. Right, and then we've got the value 1 here. We want it to turn on. Basically what I'm going to do here is stick this here, and I'm going to stick this here because I think they should have this in the code. It'll make sense in a minute when I point it out. So what will happen here is that it'll make sure that both of the LEDs are off, and I do think they should have put that in the programming of this because if it's already on, you know, it's on, but we'll always make sure now that they're off when it starts, no matter what silly state it's been left on before. But then what we want to happen is we want the green one to come on. So we'll take that code, stick that in, and to indent we press tab, and then we stick that in there, but we want it to come on. Actually no, sorry, ignore me. Right, we've got it to come on, we want to go off. Right, then what we want to happen is the green one to come on, so we'll do it this way. Sorry, I'm not going to leave that in though, because that's how you're thinking when it comes to coding. You can start doing something and think, you know what, no, I want to do it a different way. And then we want it only to flash for half a second, so we stick that in. And then we want the green to turn off, obviously, so we can just be cheeky and delete that from up here, paste, and then we want that to pause for half a second as well. Right, so the red LED is going to come on. Well, actually first, if an LED is on, it's going to get turned off. There's no delay though, it's just going to get turned off. Then the red one's going to, then we told it to do it for 10 times. We know that from the last activity. Red on, red off, half a second each time. You know, half a second on, half a second off. And then we want the red one to come, sorry, the green one to come on for half a second, and then that to go off. And then we want the green one to go delay for half a second, and then go back to being that the red one comes on. And let's run that. So at the moment you should see that the red one is off, but the green one's still been glowing. It's been glowing the whole time because we've had no code to turn it off. So for now, we run it. And program finished. There we go. So there we go. Now we've got our Christmas tree lights going on, haven't we? Ah, they should have taught us how to do that, I think. But that's how easy it is, and you can play around with that a little bit yourselves. I mean, you could have it at the fact that there isn't actually a delay in between the red one going off and the red one coming on. See if you can figure out the code to do that, so that when they are flicking backwards and forwards, they just go doop, 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 doop. But there we go. I hope you found that interesting. Tell me in the comments below if I've got anything wrong. Tell me like ideas. If you're a little bit stuck, you can always look down below and check out the Discord and come talk to me there, and I'll try my best to help you. Have a look for the links for the Patreon, because that comes in handy. But as with everything else of it, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, whichever order it is that makes that thing work, please do it. But as always, happy gaming.